Honda just dropped some images of the brand new Civic Type R for 2022. Let's take a look at this, and we're also going to compare it to the current Type R and see what might be different, what might be updated. My name is Eric, and this is RevMatchTV, and if you like this video, hey, consider subscribing. I'm bringing you interesting news from across the auto industry several times per week. So this is it. Here we have the full Civic Type R. We can see all the details here. We're going to zoom in and see what we can kind of figure out, see what Honda might be giving us. We don't have any specs as regards to the engine yet. We know it's going to be a manual transmission. I don't know if they're going to give us anything other than a manual, but that's fully okay with me. So this is from the Honda newsroom, and they're telling us that the next gen Civic Type R is ready for Nürburgring testing. Hopefully they're going to put down some interesting lap times. I'm sure they're going to beat what the current one does. Now they don't have a lot of information, but what they do tell us is that the development of the best performing Honda Civic Type R ever continues. The all-new Civic Type R will be introduced in 2022. And that's pretty much it. We don't know if it's going to be electrified. Of course it's going to be front-wheel drive. Of course it's going to have a manual transmission, but let's see what else we can find out. So we're over here at autocar.co.uk, which is a British automotive website, and we can see that the prototype of the Civic Type R has been out testing. I guess we're going to see some Nürburgring stuff pretty soon. And what they're saying in terms of the power plant is that they're expecting the Type R will forge ahead with an upgraded and enhanced version of the car's current 2.0 Turbo 4, which sends 316 horsepower to the front axle. Now in the US this is 306 horsepower, little difference between the European version that we get, and a 0 to 60 time of 5.8 seconds, top speed of 169 miles per hour. But it has also been suggested that it could use a hybrid powertrain linked in the concept to that of the NSX supercar, which makes a twin turbo 3.5 liter V6 with 3 electric motors. It's unclear whether this means four-wheel drive, but it is likely if Honda goes full hybrid this way. So there's some suggestions that we could see a hybrid version of the Civic Type R. Let me know your thoughts about that. I'm going to tell you my thoughts on that in a second. But what Autocar is speculating, and I'm not sure if I agree with this, that it would give Honda more performance potential, as engineers have previously hinted that the current car is close to the realistic limit in terms of power put only through the front wheels. So we have a little over 300 horsepower right now going to the front wheels only. In the past, Honda has said that they don't want to go all-wheel drive with the Civic Type R because it really wasn't in character of the car, wasn't in keeping with the car, and they only wanted to make it front-wheel drive, not rear-wheel drive. So they're sort of sticking with the heritage, sticking with the roots that they have set up for decades now as a front-wheel drive hot hatch. And this is like one of the remaining few hot hatches. I can't think of a lot that we have here in North America. Now Honda, compared to some other automakers like Toyota, have kind of changed course, where Toyota has been saying that they're going to take this gradual hybrid approach as they move into full EVs, but they haven't really committed to full EVs yet. And in fact, Toyota has been actively lobbying some members of Congress here in the US to roll back or slow down the introduction of EVs, because Toyota is not fully committed to an early electric future. So here we are in CNBC, and they said back in April the company said it plans to phase out all of its gasoline-powered vehicles in North America by 2040, making it the latest major automaker with the goal of becoming carbon neutral. So that's a pretty major development. So what does it portend for the Civic Type R? Now this is just speculation on my part, but I think that Honda is going to bring out the Civic Type R as a non-hybridized vehicle. I think we're going to see the 2-liter engine, and it's going to be making a little bit more power than it does now. If Honda says they're pushing the limits at 306 horsepower, I think we might expect to see something no more than 340, and my guess is maybe 320, 325 horsepower with a commensurate bump in torque over what we have right now. That's just my guess. I think they're going to make this the last great Honda Civic Type R, before we enter the inevitable age of hybridization. I think it's very possible that this generation of Civic Type R may get some type of hybrid option a little bit farther down the line, but my guess right now is, given with the whole global chip shortage and the production challenges that every manufacturer is facing, that we're not really going to get a hybrid right now out the gate. Here's the rear. I think styling wise it's much more subdued, much more sort of calmed down than the last version. In fact, let's compare them and see what kind of hints we can get from Honda, what they might be delivering us with this new version for 2022. So I did a little bit of work in Photoshop to put these up side by side. In the top we have the new one, in the bottom we have the current version. So in the current version here, you can see that from a styling perspective at least, that the headlights are quite different. We have a lot of little small LEDs along the top, and we have a much more segmented style headlight. But the main difference I see here is in the way that the front bumper kind of flows into the front fenders, where it dips down quite a bit. And lower down we have the intercooler. Now in the new one, the intercooler appears to be smaller, but I think what we've really got here is a bigger radiator opening for additional cooling. So on the FK8, we have this hood scoop here, which has been a prominent feature, but on the FL, which is the next generation, as I understand the nomenclature, there is no visible hood scoop, but we need to zoom in for a little bit here and see what is actually going on. Fortunately, Honda has given us some very high resolution images. I don't think we have a hood scoop, but what I do think we have here, I think we have a vent in the hood to help extract air, probably improve aerodynamics, reduce turbulence underneath the vehicle, but mainly to extract the hot air that is building up right now. Because if you're a track rat, if you're going to the track with your Civic Type R, you've probably noticed that you are having some cooling issues. In fact, my friend installed a larger intercooler to make more power, and he ended up blocking some of the airflow into the radiator, he thinks, and ended up having some heat issues. So he's actually taking out the aftermarket intercooler, which is blocking the radiator to some degree, because it's just not that efficient in terms of extracting heat right now. So I think we are getting some ventilation here. That is my guess. Let's take a look at the headlights. This is kind of fun here. You can see what appears to be, I think it's a Honda Odyssey van, the photography van here reflected in the headlights. You can see that this is a lot simpler in terms of design. We have a single LED element over the headlights. And also we can see here we have the Civic Type R badging. It looks to be in black, at least over here. And down below the headlights we have some type of duct work, and I think this actually might be functional as well. My guess is we're not getting fake vents, but that remains to be seen. As to the wheels, it's difficult to guess if we're going to get 19s or 20s, but I do see some Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires here, indicating that this is going to be, again, a performance-oriented, a track-focused type machine. Looking at the side skirt here, we have, well, we have a lot of camo that apparently is appealing. You can see what these cars really look like when you're close up to them here, like in this shot. So we do have a rocker that appears to be pretty aggressive looking, kind of in line with the current FK8. We have a little spat in front of the rear wheels here too, to kind of give it a little bit more of an aggressive look. So it sort of has like a two-piece style design. We also have a pretty strong character line going from the front wheel arch over to the rear wheel arch and kind of bending into the body line there. Looking at the rear, we have something that is a lot less aggressive looking, but we are getting a really good look at the wing for the first time. So we have what appear to be aluminum stands for the wing that appear to be attached to the hatchback directly. I don't think it is adjustable. I think it is fixed. Now looking at the bottom of the glass, the base of the glass, we also do have a little bit of a lip here too. So we still have some aggression, but this is quite a bit toned down compared to the FK8. Let's look at them side by side. So I've done a little comparison here, and there's a couple things that stick out to me quite noticeably. We have, in the current version, in the FK8, we have a lot of bodywork below the rear taillight. And the rear taillight, of course, is much, much, much bigger on the current version. But below that, we have this sort of, Honda claims everything is functional in here from an aero perspective. I'm not sure that I completely believe that. It looks like we have some, pretty crazy design cues. And this is what gets the most controversy, I think, over the FK8 is this sort of Superboy racer look. Either you love it or you hate it. Personally, I kind of dig it, but not everybody does. And of course, the wing is absolutely massive and a little bit ludicrous here on the FK8. So it is dramatically toned down. But one thing I see a big difference is that we still get the rear triple exhaust, but on the new one, the center is bigger and the two outer ones are a little bit smaller. On the current one, it's reversed. So they've kind of done a little quick, I guess a little double, what'd you call it, a double take? Is that the right term for it? Let's zoom in a little bit here. And we still retain some aggression because you can see that we do have below the taillights at the bottom of the bumper, we have this rear valance next to the exhaust bits, but we also have a protrusion here too, sort of an integrated element into the bumper, which flows into the rear wheel arch, and that gives it sort of a wider look. So I think it's going to have sort of a wider lower stance overall, but there is something going on here just behind the rear wheel arch, some type of design element. So it still has some of the boy racer look and feel to it, but it is definitely more toned down, a little more chilled out, a little more adult. Is that good with you? Do you like that? Or would you rather see something that is a little bit more boy racer? Somebody might call it ricer. I'll leave that to you. Let me know down in the comments. Next, let's talk about the upcoming 2022 Civic SI. We're over here on Car Buzz, and they say, ooh, we got some bad news about the 2022 Honda Civic SI. In fact, we don't really have a lot of news so far on the Honda Civic SI, at least not officially from Honda. But they're telling us there is a delay and one body style has been dropped. So in fact, it's not just one bit of bad news, but they're saying there's two bits of bad news after Honda Canada tweeted that there would only be a Civic SI sedan in June. So we're only going to get the sedan version of the SI. Sad face. What happened to hatches in this country? What happened to hot hatches? They seem to be a dying breed, unfortunately, but they're still popular in Europe. So hey, you Europeans and probably in other parts of the world too, you still get the hatches that we don't. So we are only going to get a sedan, unfortunately. And on the Civic 11 forums, a member apparently has confirmed that the Civic SI sedan has been delayed as well. So, kind of a bummer. There's nothing official from Honda yet. Now they're saying that customer deliveries were going to start this month, this being October, but now they're pushed back into November, at which point the dealers will start receiving the Civic SI sedan. Now, of course, we have the semiconductor chip shortage, which might be part of the ongoing delivery issue for this, but what we don't really have is any specs on the engine. So I think we're going to see something very similar to what we have right now. I think we're going to be in the low 200 horsepower range, maybe something above 205. Difficult to say, but if it's really going to drop in November, I would expect a reveal pretty shortly, because I was expecting we were going to see the SI reveal before the Civic Type R, but we don't even though we don't have official specs on either of these, it looks like they are teasing the Type R a little bit harder ahead of the Nürburgring track testing. But you're here because you like performance cars, so you definitely want to go and check out this Mustang Mach 1 video that I did. It's the best video I've ever done, quite frankly. I highly recommend you go check it out. It's a lot of fun. My name is Eric. I will see you in the next video.